What's poppin', y'all? This is the Dr. Greenthumb Podcast for BREALTV. We are practicing social distancing and self-quarantine. And I got a very special guest, my homie for, over 20 years. My man, the legendary Big Boy.
What up, bruh? Hey, man, why do I feel like, damn, I should have had me like, I don't smoke, but I should at least had me just a blunt to just hold and make it seem like I was making important points, like, just like so, but never really smoked it. Just every time you'll come to me, I'd do like a, that is true, but I won't smoke it. But it was almost like I'm about to, you know what I'm saying? Cup, I got fucking celery juice, and I'm fucking off the whole get down, bro.
Hey,
thanks for having me in here.
If I could have a cup of celery juice right now, I would have it, man. But, I'll do the smoking for you. We got C- here, my man E-Zone.
What's up, big boy?
What up, brah? What's going on? Hey, man, everybody winning. Like, be real, you winning with that picture in the back. The artwork right here is fucking amazing.
Thank you.
C- look like he just broke in somebody's house and using a shit. I gotta work on this back here, but it'd be greater later.
No, yours looks good. Shit. Shit. And that 92.3 The Real popping off right there because, it is 100.
Oh, there you go, brother. Hello.
Hey, listen, I just want to say this, man, to start off. My man Big, in case y'all don't know, and I know you do, but in case you don't, my man is a legend in the radio game. He has been one of the staples in morning show radio here in Los Angeles and nationwide, man, because the show blew up to get syndicated. I mean, it was one of the most funny morning shows, the most entertaining in the fucking world, man. I mean, when you talk about two names in the morning, there was Howard Stern and there was Big Boy, and I gotta say, Big Boy and I have been friends for over 20 years. And, the distinction that we have as friends over a lot of our other friends is that we pulled one of the dopest pranks on radio ever way back in the day, devised by my man Big. It was his idea. And, man, we fooled so many motherfuckers with that.
Hey, man, like I told you, bro, we did this April Fool's joke. And it's got to be damn near 20 calendars. Definitely 15.
Yeah.
And it still pops up at least twice a year. I don't know if they refurbish some shit or they bring it back up on Facebook or whatever. But we did this thing where we played like we were doing an interview. And it was almost before April 1st. You know what I'm saying? Because we were going to come back and like, oh, April Fools. So we play this interview. We do this interview, but we're live on air because back then it wasn't like we were recording, none of that kind of shit. So we set up this thing where it's like, all right, we're going to do this. Then you're going to say something about, I said we were going to say mom, but I was like, we don't play with moms. We was like, say something about.
I was like, man, people are going to kill me if I go at you.
Yeah, so we come with it, man. And I remember to this day, it was one point when I was saying something while we were in our argument. And I remember, be real, you said, oh, man, I didn't know you was going to catch feelers. And we still say that shit to this day. Like, oh, you catching feelers, man. You all up in your feelings and shit. But you was the first motherfucker I heard that said that.
Feelers?
Yeah, like he catching feelers. Is that from you?
Yeah. No, that's for me.
Okay, I thought he was gonna say you didn't pay it back to the community, B.
He wasn't fucking yet.
But yeah, man. And so we leave and we just leave it as an April Fool's joke. And LA is going fucking crazy. We're like, man, because we played like we were fighting and you can hear Liz screaming.
Oh, yeah.
We were cursing on air, and then you just hear everything go down, and go right to commercial. We're like, oh man, we did that. Not
it was authentic.
LA is fucking freaking out right now.
I gotta tell you, everybody executed the role to perfection. Liz with her screaming like stop! And salute to Luscious Liz, much respect to her, and Fuzzy too, Fuzzy and Joe. Yo, man, chill, yo. Hey,
this was before like. Instagram and, Twitter, where we could have said, oh, we got you. Or so by the time we came back to say it was an April Fool's joke, it was literally probably the next day, we had to put out so many fires.
Before the clout.
Yeah, we had to tell people we were fucking around because immediately Big got calls from his boys like, hey, you all right? We'll come down there and deal with homeboy. And my homies were like, hey, you still up there? We'll come up there and help you deal with homeboy.
Yeah, I'm like,
whoa. This is my dude.
It's crazy.
Both of you guys have down ass homies.
In a good way. You know what I'm saying? But I'm glad that, but even to this day, everybody's still like, man, I heard the fight with you and Be Real. So I'm constantly saying like, no, that was an April Fool's joke. It was an April Fool's joke. But yeah, we pulled that one off, bro.
Hey man, radio was so open at that time. Well, you know what's crazy big is that I noticed is for as much as the FCC would come after people at that time, they were letting us get away with a lot of shit because I mean, you know, I started doing the Soul Assassins radio on 92.3 The Beat at the time, and we were doing some way off the wall shit. And the morning shows. No, just sketches, crazy sketches.
That's what I meant, like those like sketches that you guys were just being like pornographic almost, bro.
Like two shows in Cali were doing this that I know of. Okay, Howard Stern was doing something, you know, pretty off the hook. Obviously, we all know that. But the morning show and the Soul Assassins radio show, which was on Friday nights, we were doing very, very crazy ass sketches. And you know, I don't know how we didn't get fucking fined by the FCC. But I mean, like back then, people were more open to the types of jokes that our writers were coming up with between both of our shows. Do you think some of that material would fly today, or do you think motherfuckers would get offended?
Not at all, bro. It won't fly. Like, for one, we're in a whole different cancel culture shit. And then it could still be some shit that they could pull up from 20, 25 years ago that could fuck you off today.
Oh, yeah.
You know? But like, man, we got shit in the archives, literally, that I look on the screen, or it'll say, do not play. I'm talking about from phone taps to bits, everything, man. I've done so much, and I don't want people to start looking for shit, but you got shit that today would have canceled your entire career, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, I listen to shit sometimes, family, and I get nervous.
Yeah.
Listening to some of the shit that we got away with. And when I was at Power, you were doing y'all show. Y'all brought motherfuckers that worked at Power to listen to y'all with y'all show. You know what I'm saying? Like, motherfuckers was listening and not even thinking then, like, man, how they getting away with this shit? But it was raw. And it was at a time where we could, man. And you try that same shit now, bro. Yeah. Everybody's super offended.
I want to ask you this, Big. Like, the first time I heard the phone tab was like, that's when I knew it was getting close to being dropped off at school. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how I knew like the gate was coming up, and I was like, oh damn, I may not hear this one. What's the craziest like repercussion you've got to like something like that? Like, if you ever asked somebody, like, I know who this motherfucker is.
Yeah, you know what, man? When I first started doing phone taps in Luther Lufe, I used to call LA. Luther. So I would call LA spots, and then I just burnt up LA to even when I would make regular calls. Like, I remember I called this one chicken spot one day. I was on the show, and I was like, shit, I'm going to bust around and go get me some chicken. So I made a real call, like, hey, I said, they answered, and I'm like, do y'all got chicken wing specials? And he was like, yeah, we got chicken wing specials. I'm like, do they come with sides? I'm making a regular order. He was like, yeah, they have sides. And then my man said, big boy, man, I'm not fucking with you. So I burnt up regular shit. So now all the phone taps are out the country, out of the state. You know, I had to get very tricky with the way that we did it, but I burnt up LA. And I never got really fucked off of a phone tap, because if it was something that was in LA, people wrote me a pass. Yeah. And then once we start going across the state, it was like, you know, now you got to get some kind of permission. You got to do this. You get, man, it's like, fuck it. So when I hang up, I hang up. And unless it's like somebody that's a little older, I feel like I scared the shit out of them, then I'll go back and say, oh, you know what? I had the wrong information. Sorry about that. Don't worry about it. But I would never really go back and say, oh, you know, it was a phone prank. You know, sorry about that.
I got to tell you, man, those were fucking classic, man. Those phone taps were some of the best radio in the history of fucking radio, in my opinion, bro. Like, I'm your friend and all that stuff, but I was also a fan. you know, of the work. I remember when you guys sent me Dr. Greenthumb for the first time.
Oh, shit.
Rolling.
Yeah. Yeah, we did that. Dr. Greenthumb. That was my boy Sketch that put that together. But you know what it is too, B? It's so many calendars of just being together. Pretty much everybody that's here today. You know what I'm saying? It's like we were talking a couple nights ago where it's like you're here today, you're gone tonight. And just to stay empowered, man. And the one thing with radio is I super serve and I work for LA first. You know what I'm saying? And LA, not on no bullshit because everybody's on a cancel culture. But if LA not fucking with you, they don't have to fuck with you. You know what I'm saying? They could have canceled Big Boy long ago. And especially the demographic. You know, like I've been embraced by 8 to 80, you know, black, brown, everything in between. You know what I'm saying?
That's real shit.
And LA has really taken care of me, man. But I also never did LA wrong. And if I have on something that wasn't purposely, you learn from everything. But I think that's the same thing with everybody that's kind of on the show today. Is that people like B, when y'all was on, you know, y'all early shit, y'all weren't thinking about, you probably were, but it wasn't thinking about, man, 80,000 motherfuckers at a festival, you know, this, that, and the other. Like y'all represent, like when I first saw Cypress, I saw motherfuckers that I knew. You know what I'm saying? I saw motherfuckers that I knew. Now it sounded like a master plan. Y'all motherfuckers was talking about smoking when nobody was really talking about smoking. Even people that say that they blow a lot now wasn't talking about blowing back then. You know what I'm saying? It all falls into place now where it seems genius, but y'all motherfuckers are innovators. And when I saw that, we recognized it, and then you took care of the hill, you took care of the outside spots, you took care of the city, you took care of the county, you took care of the state, then you took care of the region. So it was like we had somebody that represented what we did for the world. You know what I'm saying? On a whole different scale. And you never looked at Cypress Hill and said, man, these dudes are fucking playing themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are they doing? This shit is goofy. Like you would see anytime y'all motherfuckers say, you know what? Now look, when y'all flipped over and started doing rock, you know what I'm saying? People was doing certain things, but not on that scale also. Right. Now everybody's a rock star. You know what I'm saying? like everybody, I party like a rock star. I'm a rock star. But when y'all were saying it, it was early on, and hip hoppers wasn't saying that shit. I remember I was watching one time when you started to grow your hair out, you was like, man, I'm trying to get an afro big as Daytona on MTV. That's representing for us. You know what I'm saying? So I think, man, just on innovative, we could talk about phone taps, this, that, and the other, but we have built something that, for one, a lot of people weren't doing beforehand. And now it sounds genius when you look back and you see what Cypress Hill did, or what Soul Assassin, or just the whole family, what the whole family did. And y'all had to jump on a lot of grenades for that shit.
I mean, you know, I think it's the same as it relates to you, because realistically, I don't know anyone else in the radio game that, you know, aside from Howard Stern, people go up there and they go in there fucking vulnerable because they know he's gonna fucking, you know, work to get that shit out of him, even if he doesn't know that. But like most of the motherfuckers that have come through your show, they open up to you immediately, you know, like they're not afraid to be themselves. Like, you know, I'm sure that, you know, through the years that you've spent doing this, you've encountered a few artists that come up and put up the front, put up the shield, and these might be motherfuckers that you don't know yet. But, you know, you've had some of the dopest interviews with a lot of people, man. And I, you know, like me, I was always one to like not want to go to radio unless I knew the motherfucker there. So it was always easy to go see you. You know what I mean? Because we're homies. It doesn't seem like I'm going to visit radio to promote my shit. It's like I'm going to see the homie to talk about shit. You know what I'm saying?
Be like, I was a fan first. You know, I got into radio in '94. You know what I'm saying? So I had Cypress as a fan first. And I remember one time when I went to DJ P's house and he was like, oh, you know, we used to go get our vinyl from there, so on and so forth. And he gave me Funky Phil one as a fucking 12-inch. And then me and DJ Ray, I told him we flipped that shit over and found how I could just kill a man on the other side. Like, for one, there is no A and B sides anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Right. There is none.
Yeah. An A side now, you know? But I remember, man, he was like, yeah, they're going to do a listening party at the Whiskey A Go-Go. Was it the Whiskey?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
And I remember going to that shit as a fan, standing in line, standing in the crowd, and watching y'all back then. And I don't know how many shows y'all had under y'all belt, but just looking at how professional and how you hit your vocals. And right now it sounds like, man, I knew it was going to happen, but I knew I was watching something. You know what I'm saying? Like, I knew I was watching something. So even now, man, when we were on the phone a couple nights ago, right? And this probably may sound crazy to you, but I was looking at shit on YouTube where I told you I was going down a rabbit hole looking at y'all performances. And I was looking at YouTube and I'm looking at all these motherfuckers, man. And it's crazy because no matter how many years, how many interviews, all that shit, I still look and I say, man, I know that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is fucking crazy to me, bro. I think that's why I survive in radio, because I'm intrigued by the people that come in. And I don't get forced interviews. So when I sit with Be Real, it's because I want to talk to Be Real. Anybody that I bring in, but it's crazy when you'll come in and you'll say, like, I kept calling you that night. You know what I'm saying? Like, I still trip, like, man, I got this motherfucker's phone number. Like, Jose is here right now. We've had conversations where we like, dude, like, yeah, we know this motherfucker. Or you remember this, you remember that. Remember in our Cadillacs playing this. Like, you are a soundtrack to a lot of motherfuckers' lives. My homeboy Smokey, who is a king lung smoking motherfucker, didn't smoke until Cypress Hill. You know what I'm like? He would literally go back, King, B-Dog, Blood, whatever you want to call him. He would literally go back and say, man, I twisted up because of Cypress Hill.
You know, I got one thing that it's like we were talking about the atmosphere that you create as working in radio. And it, you know, I don't think my exposure to like radio and like actually getting like entertained by a show was like your show, Power 106, back when you used to do that. My older brother used to drop me off at school and I used to listen to it. I can honestly say that I have not found another show till I found Sway in the Morning.
Yeah.
It's really only him and you that really kind of carry this vibe where every artist doesn't doesn't put a cap or a ceiling on being themselves. Like, they don't feel like they're being interviewed. And I really feel that, like, what you created here is like, you're right. That's really one of the big things that has kept you alive in this radio. And that's the reason artists like B and other artists really like genuinely got love for you and like fucks with you, you know, like, and that's, you can't buy that shit, man. Like, congrats on that.
Yeah, and you can't, man. And it comes to respect. Like, I respect those that come in, and I think they respect when they leave. And the one thing about it, man, is everybody on this shocking shit where they wanna, you know, they want to ask you something crazy, and we get crazy, you know what I'm saying? But it's within your comfort zone. Like, I want you to leave and be able to say, man, I had fun with that motherfucker. Or I want you to leave and say, yeah, I want to go back. I create relationships, you know what I'm saying? And anytime, like with anyone, pick Exhibit, Be Real, whoever, motherfuckers don't fuck with me on album time. You know what I'm saying? It ain't all big. I got an album. I got this. And we all gonna look out because that's what you're supposed to do. You know, I'm not like this. I can't tell you the last time in rotation that I've played a Cypress Hill record. You know what I'm saying? But I know that I got Be Real and Be Real got Cypress, and we gonna use the platform however. You know what I'm saying? And I think with us coming together and saying, you know, but one thing with any artist that we fuck with is they're not gonna ask me to do something goofy. They're not gonna come and tell me to play some record or big, can I get something? And it's just bullshit and we all in jeopardy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Cypress always brought heat. Be Real, if he's out of album mode, then I know that we can sit and talk in an interview. Be Real know, like, hey man, I'm fucking with Burner. This is what we got. Well, let's talk to the people about it. You know what I'm saying? So I think a lot of that shit is relationship. And you got so many people that's coming into the podcast and the radio game and so on and so forth. Everybody's doing interviews now, especially since we've been on, this shutdown with coronavirus.
Is it authentic?
It's about how comfortable you make somebody too. You know what I'm saying? It's about how comfortable. And I'm not afraid of anybody that I bring into the neighborhood. Like, I'm not worried about nobody putting hands on me and asking the wrong question. I'm all timid and shit. It's just that when we come in, if somebody say, hey, Big, could you not ask me this? I won't ask, because my whole interview isn't about that. You know what I'm saying?
I can ask.
Bring you in and a motherfucker don't, B, we done been through we done seen all, we done been through all kind of beefs, yourself included, you know what I'm saying? Where I had to like kind of like, like even the you and Cube thing, you know what I'm saying? Like that was us sitting on air and having a conversation, and you told your truth.
And being comfortable about it.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I just think, man, that everybody that needs to be applauded for what they do and what they contribute. And I think now, there's, instead of the oven and the stovetop, we getting a lot of microwave. I got to deal with a lot of that microwave as well. You know what I'm saying? Because I got to have the enoughs. I got to be hip hop enough, pop enough, black enough, brown enough, cool enough, studios enough. So we all got these enoughs
relevant
that
enough
we have to deal with,
and so on and so forth, right?
Yeah.
And you were gonna ask something, C?
I wanted to bring up one of the best, like, because me and Big worked together over at Power 106, and
it's crazy because we came in as kids. Go ahead, C minus.
Woo, man, we sure did. But one of the best moments involving you as well, B, is that I used to have this rock show called Mass Distortion, and it came on Sunday night.
How early was that, too, bro?
Ooh, that was like
how ahead of the time was that?
That was like 98.
98.
Come on, man.
Yeah, we were on some shit back then. But I remember B came to the studio, and B was always one of the only ones to ever get like carte blanche smoking in the studio. Like whenever B came, like it was never a question of, oh hey, should we tell him he can't smoke? It was like he's gonna smoke in the control room, whoever's interviewing him. And so he came on my rock show with Mike Shinoda from Linkin Park, and we smoked heavy inside the control room. And I went, and then after the show, whatever, I had to come back in the morning to do something. I think I had left something. And Big was there, and I ran in, and he was like, "Hey, was B-Roll on the show last night?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Smells like it."
Yeah. Let me tell you, bro. I remember years ago, B, you had this Suburban.
Yeah.
I went down to your Suburban, and this motherfucker, the whole car should have been impounded for one. The way that this fucking car smelled. It was almost like the fucking Cheech and Chong fucking car that was made out of weed. This motherfucker was so true to his game. He told me that. He said, well, what I do is he even would switch out the interior to leather because the leather wouldn't hold the smell as much. Like this motherfucker, man. Like, man, you definitely wasn't a motherfucker that started smoking on peer pressure or popularity or, because everybody else is doing it. Like,
it was a part of who we were, Big, growing up. You know what I mean? We read High Times magazines. We were, smoking out when we were making the music. We were smoking out before we knew how to make music. You know what I'm saying? It was just always a part of us. So it was just something that it evolved right along with us. And because, some of us were on that street hustle shit, we were always looking at ways to, not get caught out there. So, we were always trying to think ahead of the game with shit like that,
Hey,
so,
man, what about
we were on early to a lot of these things.
What about the bumps and bruises that you guys had to take early on? Because now, we see a world of, oh, it's legal here. You can carry this. You can find it in the car. But did y'all used to get y'all like tour buses snatched up? And
Well, yeah, I mean, they used to pull our bus over and see if we had anything out front. Like before, because there used to be a law that they needed a warrant to board your bus. They could pull your bus over and ask questions to your driver, but they needed a warrant to board your bus. So as long as there wasn't smoke billowing out of the bus when we get pulled over, he couldn't just pull a warrant out of his ass and board our bus unless our bus driver allowed him to. And most bus drivers know the protocol. They're not going to let anybody on the bus unless we allow it, and they need a warrant, right? So, most often, we would sometimes get pulled over, but there was only maybe a couple times that we got boarded where they took weed from us, which was at we was at a border in I think it's Texas or El Paso, around there. It's a very notorious border stop where they've snatched everybody up. They took everybody to jail at that spot except for us. You know what I mean? Because I was 100 with them. You know me, Big. If someone asks me a question, I'm not gonna dip and dodge around it. I'm gonna answer your question. So when the border agent asked me, "You guys got weed?" I said, "Absolutely."
Yeah.
You had to tell them how much.
You had to be a fucking neighborhood attorney, like lawyer too, because you guys had, like, now you look, and I know that there's so many laws that because I follow how you'll speak. But early on, you had to have enough knowledge to know, no, you can't board my bus. No, I can carry this much. No, you got to have a search warrant. You know what I'm saying? And you were on a bus going through different cities and states where the laws did change up. You know what I'm saying? So you had to be like damn near a lawyer to get through some of these fucking places. You had to know more than the average person. You did. And not everybody had this knowledge because it wasn't readily available. I mean, now, with the age of technology and internet and social networking and all that shit, all these different platforms that you can get information from, and now all these websites that have this information. I mean, there's no excuse to be ignorant about, what you should know if you're a cannabis advocate, activist, or consumer or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You should know the shit. And if you don't, there's plenty of places to learn, and it's good that everyone is caught up now. There's a lot of people that don't even smoke that know the laws that relate to cannabis better than some of us that have been activists forever. And that's the cool shit, because those are the people you link with to represent the culture, the ones who don't even fucking smoke like that. Let them, who have done the diligence, even though they don't have a fucking bet in the game. You know what I'm saying? They don't have skin in the game at all. They're just, advocates because they see the right in it and the potential economically for it. Those are the ones that I like when they get educated and they speak on behalf of cannabis, because it's easy for us to do it. We've been doing it for so many years and we're synonymous with that. So it's something people expect. But when other people outside of the cannabis industry come in and speak knowledgeably about it, and speak for it, it's the best thing. Like, we had Montel Williams on another show called Green Talks, and man, he's a cannabis user. Yeah, big time. It saved his life, as his story would indicate, and as he would say. But man, out of people that that are cannabis advocates and people you might not, he's probably one of the most knowledgeable people that we ever had and ever met in terms of fucking cannabis. It's crazy. Were you ever the target, B? Like, you are the group, were y'all ever, like, we salute and applaud, but was it ever like a venue that tripped out on you, or getting pulled over just because?
There was a couple times in like some Southwest states, most especially Texas, where they would not come and say anything to us, right? But they would let their presence be known.
Right.
Right. And there was one gig, man, where you could see all the cops lined up around the top of the venue. Let's just say the venue was a circular venue. You could see they were all lined up from like a Coliseum style, let's just say, right? And let's just say that this is the stage back here. They were all lined up in back of us like that from the side, so that all the fans that were watching us could see those cops watching us and watching them. And, you know, Muggs, masterful, you know, genius that he is at times, as it relates to taking advantage of a moment and flipping it for a great narrative as it relates to Cypress Hill. He fucking, unbeknownst to me and Sendog, we had a set list already. You know, musicians live by a set list when you're playing live, right? He throws in Pigs out of nowhere.
Oh, like Pigs for you to go vocally, or did he just? So no, you had to.
So I had to. I heard the start. I looked back at him, and he gave me that Muggs grin, and I knew, okay.
Oh man!
And we just started. This pig harassed the whole neighborhood. This pig.
Oh. But that's G shit right there too. Muggs is gangster. It's there for you to be like, fuck.
Yeah, I was like, oh,
I gotta rap this.
And you know, I would not ever be the one to stop and like be like, yo, nah.
Turn it off.
Yeah, no, we rolled with it. You know, that's the thing. We had each other's backs on shit. You know what I mean? So if he felt like that was the moment, in spite of what reluctancy I might have had, I'd roll with it, because it's like he sees the moment, and it may be a little scary because they're all watching us and we're in Texas, but fuck it, I'm gonna go.
Then you gotta think, you gotta control not only Muggs putting it on and now you going vocally, but now you gotta think about the crowd of thousands upon thousands of people that's literally looking at the pigs. You know what I'm saying? That oh shit!
It was big. It was special because they went out of their way to let us know that they were there,
and y'all went out of y'all way to let them know
we know
you here, and we don't give a fuck. Hey, C, Myers, let me ask you this, man. Our first handshakes was you being a DJ. You know what I'm saying? And with Chalk as well, man. When my first introduction was Roughnecks. It did everything that you did from there with touring and hosting your own show on your brand and watching your son come in as a baby holding fucking vinyl in his hands. Like, you are a DJ. What do you feel now about everybody's a DJ? You know, and it's not bitter because it's your craft. What do you feel about that? Like, everybody can't go and just say, oh, you know what? I play for the NBA or I'm a basketball. But you know what I'm saying? Like, does it feel not crowded, but what do you feel about that?
I mean, my thing is, if just be good. If you're gonna come in, you know, like, be good. If you can't be good or take criticism and want to get better, then I don't know. There's a lot of shitty sounding DJs out there because they go in seeking the fame and notoriety as opposed to the thing that a lot of people that all of us know, and myself and my fellow peers, you know, we love the music, and a lot of times I see DJs like that, you know, I don't see that they love the music. But
you remember, bro, just going in and the way, you know, digging through the crates used to feel when you would go to the record store and it was a record that you knew, but then you would buy something also just by what the label looked like. I remember soaking my records so you wouldn't know what my records were. I remember taping my records down so I know what my spin back was. You know what I'm saying? And keeping a beat going. And now it's just, oh, I'm a DJ. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, everybody in
my thing is, back in the days, man, whenever you so-called got out of your square, and not that that's a bad thing, because I do encourage people to think outside the box. Absolutely. But if you were a rapper and you went to go do a movie, if you really wanted that shit, you had to be twice as good to get that. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? To get the accolades. The same way, if I felt like, man, if you gonna rhyme, respect the game. You know what I'm saying? Respect the game. Absolutely. But I feel like with DJing, it was just like, fuck it. Like, I don't see a lot of these DJs that's here now. they couldn't go back and you give them something from 1994 and say, spin on this equipment and see what happens.
And I'll tell you like this, not only that, right? You know, yeah, they would not know how to DJ on vinyl. They would not know that game. You know, you're hard pressed to find, you know, the 1% that would know that game, right? But not only that, right? It's half of these motherfuckers can't even mix. They're cutting shit in, and then they cut in awkward places that don't make sense because they don't really know how to DJ something. You know what, Big? It's like this. Rapping and DJing, for some reason, you know, people have gotten a pass to not like pay the dues to become a real rapper and to become a real DJ and do all the things and go through the process and steps and evolve to actually, you know, put that in your holster. You know what I'm saying? People are allowed to skip the fucking processes. That's why like we were talking about the other day, old boy we were talking about, he had only been rapping for 6 months and got a goddamn hit song.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the thing is that with DJs, it's harder because you're actually the backbone of the party. You know what I mean? And if you got a fucking DJ who sucks, you could see it. I mean, you hear it right off the top. I mean, half the DJs that are on like satellite radio, there's a lot of bad DJs on satellite radio. There's a lot of great DJs too. I don't want to take away from there. There's a lot of bad motherfuckers there, but there are some guys in slots that should not have those slots. They should actually go to DJs that know what the fuck they're doing, and that's the sad part.
Yeah, and I just think that people lost a lot. Not people lost because you have to have had it before you could lose it. I just think there's some people that don't give a fuck about what that craft was and how important that was. And you know what I'm saying? It was the DJ before the MC. You know what I'm saying? And now you'll see people, they don't know how to count. Like I see you get on the tables and I don't see you just going, oh man, I'm DJ B, but you would kill these motherfuckers because of timing and because of the craft. Like now it's like, okay, I just play this record, push button, everything is getting a little bit smaller. And you remember, C-Minus, you used to protect your records. Absolutely. Motherfucker come and say, what record is that? You would say, oh man, such and such. And then it got to a point where people like, hey man, can you download me this? I remember going and paying $50 for 12-inch singles because I couldn't find them. You know what I'm saying? Now people are like, hey man, can you jump drive me that? Can you do this? I'm like, oh my God, bro. Like,
dude, I used to get a lot of white labels, right? Which a lot of people don't know the way that vinyl used to be pressed on 12 inches and got to the DJs early. The really early copies were called the test pressing. They were white labels. They had no writing. They would have side A written on it and side B written on it. And then they would give you a paper that would say, the vinyl goes in this order. So my thing is that I never wrote on any of my white labels, ever. Mm-hmm. But I knew what they were. So if someone was like, oh, what record? I was like, oh, I would show them, oh, this? Yeah, some white label. And then I put it back in my crate.
Hey, man, the thing about it too, man, is even when it used to be ear hustling and eye hustling, like DJs used to be on some like, oh, what is that? You know what I'm saying? And there was something about getting shit first. And you remember C-Minus, even just being at the station, when records used to come in the mail room, that was a big motherfucking deal, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, did you get your copy of such and such? Like, my last set when I was good was like Dwick, and then I completely fell the fuck off. You know what I'm saying? I remember I had a last rotation, but I know I can still get on some turntables right now and fucking fade these motherfuckers that call themselves DJ.
Hey, you know what's funny?
You are a record player.
Yeah.
That's what you are, and you are a bad record player at that.
Hey, you know what's funny is now they don't ask you what the record was. They just try to look over your shoulder and check your Serato.
Yeah, man. I remember when I first saw Serato, I was like, what the fuck is that? And I didn't think that it was gonna go until I saw real DJs looking at Serato. I was like,
oh yeah. And it took a minute. It took a minute before real DJs would actually that would see the possibilities of why Serato is dope. You know what I mean? Like everybody, a lot of them are stuck with like, nah, man, we got to fucking do it the traditional way. But this actually makes it easier. You don't got to carry around those crates, so you don't got to protect those records. You don't got to go through the fucking problem of sealing them or hiring 3 homies to carry crates for you, or carry them yourself if you're that guy. You know what I'm saying? So
Get a dolly.
it took a minute.
Yeah, remember the dollies? Yeah.
It took a minute for motherfuckers to embrace it, but I mean, you see guys like Mixmaster Mike, Qbert, fucking DJ Lord, and guys like that doing fucking crazy shit on what is now, you know, the crates through Serato and stuff like that. So I think it's dope that real DJs actually transition. Hey, but I want to ask you this. There's 2 things I want to ask you, right? There's the Hat of Forbidden Questions.
Right.
That was one of my favorite fucking segments to listen to. I tapped out earlier than I wanted to. Admittedly, I remember the question you asked me, but that was one of the fucking dope.
Can you say what the question was? You want to hold it?
It was something about if I ever what was it? It was something about being with another celebrity.
Okay, yeah. All right, leave it there.
It was that, and I
but you know shit, that's G code too.
Yeah, I tapped out on that one. But what, you know, it was great when you had someone come in there and they answered all the goddamn questions. Who surprised you the most in that one? And then the other thing I wanted to ask you was, have you watched any of the TV shows based off Big and Pac and all that stuff, and the death row stories, whatever that are?
First off, with the Hat of Forbidden Questions, I think Shaq is the standout one for me, because Shaq, he took me to 34 questions. You know what I'm saying? He answered everything. And I remember I asked him, I said, have you ever been the same, pretty much, you ever been with anyone famous? And he said, yeah. And I was like,
I remember that.
I said, who? Because you got to elaborate. And then he said, well, how many do you want me to name? And then Fuzzy was like, name 3. You know, so he said Aaliyah, who was with us at the time, rest in peace. He said Venus Williams. And he said Cindy Crawford or something. Mm-hmm. Cindy Crawford. And it was crazy because you could tell who was your princess or your queen, because there was people that were like, damn, Aaliyah. You know what I'm saying? Like, damn, he said, rest in peace. And this is beforehand.
Peace, yeah.
And then other people was like, damn, Vince. And then Cindy Crawford is the one that the world took off on.
That's
like,
crazy.
How can this black guy, you know what I'm saying? Like, I remember I was at a store, y'all, and it was some guy in front of me, and he says, Shaq admits to such as sex or whatever with Cindy Crawford. And I'm thinking that he knew I was behind him, so he was throwing it back to me like, oh, I listened to your show, So when I got up in line a little bit, it was on the cover of like Star magazine and all them fucking magazines.
Crazy.
And that was the one that took off the most. You know what I'm saying? With Shaq. And that was at a time period when the names, everybody was here, the world was different. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was crazy, but that was the one. Shaq, he didn't tap out.
Did you come up with those questions?
Yeah, or you know what? Or shit. It could have been collectively. Like if you could have came in and said, hey, Big, ask that motherfucker this. You know what I'm saying? That's the same thing with phone taps. I get people that say, hey man, have you ever called her? And then my mind just start going. You know what I'm saying? So it's always been a team effort on a lot of stuff. It hasn't always been mine. So,
that's
teamwork.
That's the way it works with the team collective, I think. And what about the TV shows now based off of Pac and Big's deaths and the death row stories? Did you ever think, like 10, 15 years back that was ever going to manifest?
You know what, man? For one, we've been watching them, 20 plus now? And every one of them, like I remember there was this one, and it was with Benjamin Clark. I think it was on A&E or something, but they got deep. And, it was a 6-parter. It was something. And I remember I think I did an interview for them as well, if I'm not mistaken. But it always kind of ends up at the same place. A lot of conspiracies, you know, there's no closure. You know what I'm saying? So I got to a point now, man, where if I do see something that pop up in the program guide or something like that, I've gotten to the point where I don't even watch them. You can't say nothing new. You know what I'm saying? All you could do is take the squares and mix them around and all that kind of shit. So I don't partake. And then, you know, pretty much all of us on here, we lived it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We lived it. We knew what it felt like when everybody was here, what it felt like when Pac was gone, and we felt when Biggie was gone, and we felt the so-called, you know, beefs and all that shit, man. So it's hard for me to have somebody from another country or even here do a documentary on some shit that I lived through. I seen it. You know, like when you do like with LA Originals, it was so important for Esteban and Cartoon and everybody involved to do it because it was theirs. The Cypress Hill documentary, that's y'all. You know what I'm saying? We don't need somebody with you know, and then be real kind and he did, you know, we don't need that shit. You tell your own story. So I didn't have to continue to watch somebody else telling a story that I was very, you know, very much part of. I announced to Los Angeles that Pac died. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't on Instagram. It wasn't Twitter. I remember walking in and they said, you know, because he had gotten shot and he was with us for about 7 days. So I remember walking in one day and it was like, hey, you know, we getting, you know, whatever the words were back then, we getting word that, you know, Pac passed. So we literally sitting in an office calling around because you don't Google or you don't go on and see hashtag. So we literally calling, hey man, did you hear this? Did you hear this? And then we got a real confirmation. And I had to walk down the hallway. And it felt like they stretched that fucking hallway 300 yards. Because I knew Pac before I got on radio. When I was Bodyguard in the Far Side, we did a lot of shows together. So I knew Pac before that. And I knew Pac once I got into radio. You know what I'm saying? So I've had intimate moments with him. Yeah. So to walk down the hallway and knowing what this dude meant to you, and not only what he meant to you, but what he meant to who you were about to tell. You know what I'm saying? I still get people to this day that'll come up and say, man, I remember when you said Pac passed. So it's a different texture for me when I see a lot of these shows now.
Yeah, I could imagine. I mean, because you talk to everybody a lot of the people involved with both camps like that, man, and just a part of the history, like you said, man. It's crazy, you know, to think how much time has passed, and you know all the information that you hear now, like a lot of the new shit. Ezone, you were gonna ask something?
Yes, I was. Before I took this hit, you mentioned you used to do bodyguard work, man. Yeah. I was before radio, and that's like, how did that come about? Because you said you were doing bodyguard work for like Far Side, yeah, and you said you mentioned you knew Pac. I was like, did that come through because of the bodyguard work, or like?
No, the bodyguarding thing, man, was one of my partners by the name of Paul Stewart, DJ P, and a lot of people know P. You know what I'm saying? And he was really like the connector or the you know, bridging the gap kind of guy that put a lot of people in. You know what I'm saying? And so at one point, he was managing the Far Side. And so the Far Side had a little situation on the East Coast, and they needed, you know, some security when they went back. So I was already kind of, you know, level-headed. I was big. I was good with my hands, and you know, shit, I knew martial arts. You know what I'm saying? So he tagged me in, even at my biggest. You know, I was still doing the splits. I was still good on my shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so he tagged me in, and he tagged another one of our partners named Seal and Suave. And so we just went out. So just with the success of, you know, Bizarre Ride and Passing Me By, and then, you know, the Fellas Live show, I stayed with them on the road for about 2 years. And that was a time when, you know, of course, it was a lot of the Pac, I Get Around, so on and so forth. And even Pac before that, one of my partners, his mom was in the in the Panthers with Pac. So that was before radio as well, with Pac's mom. And so just running through and seeing, seeing Pop, in intimate moments, you know what I'm saying? And in the same van, it's the same sound checks at the same hotels, B, you know how it is, man. It's like you get this camaraderie where either you on the road with somebody or they a week ahead of you or a week behind you, or you know what I'm saying? Like, and you just ran into everybody, bro, and you looked out for each other. We were like the .coms, and we were like the Yelps, where E-Real will be somewhere and you're like, oh, y'all going to such and such? Oh, you got to go to this real place, or you got to go get this from over here. You know what I'm saying? And so it was always kind of each one teach one, and we always looked out for each other. And I think that was the camaraderie that you'll see with a lot of people that's still in the game or that's had 2 decades plus with them.
Are you still able? Do you feel that, like, I mean, you're obviously still a radio, but do you feel that, like, with this generation's wave of artists, are you still able to build these type of meaningful relationships with artists? I mean, personally, my opinion, I think it would be a lot difficult because I feel the mindset with a lot of these new artists, they're not, and they don't have that mentality. It's just kind of like another gig, and I'm getting a bag for it. Like, as compared to, I feel like you come from an era where, like, motherfuckers value the fuck out of every opportunity. It's like, yo, I'm in Big Boy's neighborhood. Like, this is.
And you know what? You get people that'll come in and they feel like, they'll walk in and they'll just look and be like, man, I'm in here. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then you'll get some here and there that I just be like, I don't need that motherfucker back. And then plus there's no finishing school, man. Right. Some people don't know how to interview because they went literally from their room to my room. You know what I'm saying? They went from
6 months in the game type shit.
Say it again, B.
6 months in the game type shit.
You know what I'm saying? And they don't value it as much. You know what I'm saying? We come from there's a lot of outliers in us, and that's 10,000 hours. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. The shit that it wasn't like, I'm just gonna go get a bag, or I'm not even a rapper. This is just some shit that I fell into. So what I do is there's always a common ground for me to bring somebody into the neighborhood, man. It's either I fuck with your music, I fuck with your grind, you got something that you want to say, I want to make an introduction. And then there's also just some people where I say, well, you know what, man? I don't even want to sit with that person because I've seen other places. Then I get people also where they're like, oh, he's a bad interview. And then I come in and we fucking go and they love it. You know what I'm saying?
It's hard to judge until you actually do it. But you're right. That there is no finishing school. And I've said this for years. Motherfuckers don't, and especially today, because there's really no process that you have to go through to get in the game. Like, you can cut out the middleman. You don't need a record label. You don't need a manager. You don't need an agent. You can do it all yourself, get a hit, and find yourself having to go do radio promo and stuff like that. And because you've never done one and you don't have any guidance from a manager, all you got is your fucking homies. You don't know how to come and fucking represent what your shit is on, like, in an interview. And then, no less, they might not know who all the big players are because they're not well educated into.
And some don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Some don't give a fuck. And my thing is, and this is to anybody, everybody, whatever, killer all day, I don't give a fuck. I've seen a lot of you come into the neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? I'm going on 26 years of radio. You don't impress me. I love what you're doing, but I've seen a lot of you come into the neighborhood where you thought this shit was going to last forever. You know what I'm saying? And I've seen people that was hot that ain't shit right now. Right. You know what I'm saying? So I don't wish you any ill will. I wish you the best, but trust me, bro, I've seen you come in here before. I've seen a hot record. I've seen motherfuckers that sold more than you. I've loaned motherfucking artists money. I've seen you come in the hot shit, then I've seen you beg to get back on the show. I've seen this shit, bro. And I don't call names, no ill will, none of that shit. So with today's people, you probably don't think that you don't need it or it's gonna last forever or whatever. But I've seen this happen before, bro. I've been in radio 26 years and I'm still learning.
That's a repetitive story.
I'm still learning, bro.
Yeah.
Every day I'm learning. I make a mistake every fucking day.
Let me ask you this, dog, because, you know, with everything that we do in terms of the industry that we're in, you know, it's all about passion and passion for the art that you do, right? You know, you've done morning for so many years. What still motivates you to get up that fucking early? Because I know you get up early to do that shit. Like when it was like in the, you know, like the thick, man, what was motivating you to get up and do that?
You know what, man? And real shit is I'm motivated by a few things, man. And it depends on when. You know, like when I had my kids, you know, I was motivated. That's a different motivation.
Different motivation, you got to provide.
You know, when it was just, you know, numbers, I'm motivated by ratings. You know what I'm saying? But I think the realest shit, bro, is I'm motivated by fear. And the reason why I say I'm motivated by fear is because it was like my mom, single parent, 7 kids, you know, no money, you know, homelessness, evictions, you know what I'm saying? And my mom worked hard, bro. It wasn't a drug problem, wasn't this, it was just slippery slopes. So I think that watching how hard my mom worked and hiding in the closet in the motel when the cleaning lady came because it was too many of us in the room, you know, staying in, you know, missions and everything. And I think that having that as a texture to you, that when somebody gave you an opportunity and you took that opportunity, it was what you turned into it. When I first went to Power 106, they offered me to do 1 overnight shift. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, all right, we was on tour with Lollapalooza at the time. I was like, yeah, I can come in and try that. You know what I'm saying? They said, we give you $35 an hour. I was like, 35 times 4. I was like, man, that's like, you know, I'll do that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's $240 or $140. And then they called me back with 7700. Yeah. So they called me back and he called me the next morning and he said, would you like to try it again? So I'm like, I'm just thinking I'm doubling up the money. You know, not thinking.
Life-changing decision.
Yeah, so after two nights, they offered me the night show, and I was gonna turn down radio. I was like, no, we on Lollapalooza, we having fun, this, that. And then I said, you know what? I said, man, and I always been a hustler. And I always thought, I said, man, well, you know what? I can only eat when the far side eat. And then I can only eat a fraction of what the far side eat.
Right.
And then when they downtime, you know, and I made more money at home, you know, on some other shit than I did with the Far Side. You know, the Far Side money was like $50 a day.
Most DJs at that time, you know, were dealing with that thing that they would make more money at home.
Yeah, and I wasn't even DJing. I was on some other shit back then. You know what I'm saying? Like, so
right, that's right.
So I was like manning the ship. You know what I'm saying? On some other shit, like, hey, you know, make sure this, and that was more of travel and having fun and living life. So when radio came, I remember I was going to turn it down. Then I was like, nah, you know what, man? Because I wasn't the Far Side DJ at that time. It was like Mark Love was the DJ.
Yeah, that's right. Mark Love. Shout out to
I never DJed for Far Side. And so I was just like, you know what? I remember I said, man, I'm just going to try this radio thing. You know what I'm saying? And I went to the fellas and I said, hey, man, you know, they offered me a year contract. I think I'm going to try this radio thing. And they told me, they said, Big, you know, do what you're going to do, man. If it doesn't work out, you can come back. And when I hit that radio shit, it was a new hustle for me, bro. I had to succeed. And I don't even mean succeed by money, this, that, and the third. I just had to take this opportunity that was presented to me and see what I could do. But you're not going to out hustle me. I mean, dude, if I was a plumber, I'd be a dope motherfucking plumber. If I was, you know what I'm saying? So whatever I was going to do, and which I did go to plumbing school, so I want to throw that in, you know, but whatever I was going to do, I was going to make sure that I put my all into it. And I think with radio, the reason why I lasted in radio is because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. The Rick Cummings who hired me, he said, go in. He told me, he said, I can teach you radio, but I can't teach you personality. He said, and you have a personality. And he said, go in, do what you want to do. Just remember the station is called Power 106. And I went in there and I didn't have the pressures. Like everybody want to be in radio now and everybody want to be in entertainment. I didn't have the pressure. I didn't know about ratings and I didn't know about this, that, you know what I'm saying? I didn't know about none of that shit. I didn't want what somebody else had. Like now, even artists, be real, they want what you have. They want what the Migos have and they want it right now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They want it now. Don't nobody want no finishing school or get in and pay. They want that shit right fucking now. You know what I'm saying? Put that shit in the microwave on 10 seconds and bing, I'm you now.
It's like,
so I went in.
It's like credit me with dues so I don't have to pay those. Get me on.
Yeah. Okay, your due card is here. There you go. You know, but it was just getting in, man, and being motivated by not going backwards. And I'm not afraid to go back because I've been there. I know how to survive. I know how to sleep on the floor. I know how to sleep outside. I know how to sleep in my car. I know how to do all that shit. You know what I'm saying? It's those things that make me, you're not cut from my cloth. You know what I'm saying? So you like it's a line that Dre say in the Watcher about filling somebody's shoes. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't understand what I had to do to get here and what I'll do to stay here.
And I'll say
what kind of family. I bought my mom a house to the lady that was fucking homeless, homie. I went from homeless to homeowner. That's why I do what I do.
I'll say this, man. You've had, one of the greatest runs in the history of radio personalities. I mean, you're still fucking rolling strong. And I think it was a fucking amazing and more importantly, a fucking important decision for you to say, you know what, I'm gonna, step back from the security shit and try this radio because it gave you a voice that hip hop needed. And you made so many careers. You supported so many careers. You highlighted so many. There's only so many real ones that people get introduced to and then have that relationship with them, that you hear them all the time. You're one of them. Julio G was one of them when he was on radio, and very few, and even like the Baker Boys when they were doing Friday Night Flavors. I think it was a great decision by Power that heard the potential in your personality to put you on then, and you to just run with it. I mean, it's because there's a lot of historic moments that you put in place in terms of a lot, the interviews with certain, artists and shit like that, and records that came out at a certain time that were like some of the most relevant in hip hop history and in music history, because let's keep it 1,000. It went beyond just hip hop. I mean, you fucking had everybody in there. It was, it wasn't just subject to hip hop heads. I mean,
and that's the kind of show we tried to do, man, where, we knew what the core was, but, we wanted everybody. Arnold Schwarzenegger, we wanted everybody in there, and even with the Baker Boys, man, the Baker Boys, they built, to me, Power 106. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had never really listened to Power. I couldn't even tell you besides like Frank Lozano and maybe Dave Morales, but that was probably once I got there. Dave. But the Baker Boys with mixing on Friday Night Flavors, doing their show, then the mornings, and you got to think, C-minus, we all cut from that cloth. You know what I'm saying? That's why when I talk about the Baker Boys, I say the architects. You know what I'm saying? I bring them up all the time because they the motherfuckers when Rick Cummings said, who is that guy? They could have said, oh, man, you don't want him, Rick. That dude is this, is that. That motherfucker, they said, hey, man, his name is Big Boy. Kurt Alexander, here's his number. You know what I'm saying? And they were the guys that had to co-sign me.
Oh, yeah.
I've done a lot of co-signing since then.
Yeah,
I could have did a pass or fail if the Baker Boys would have been like, nope.
Yeah, and I tell you, that was another great decision Power made by putting those guys on, because they opened up the hip hop floodgates through that Friday Night Flavors. Like, no, I mean, that was like, KDAY being on FM, what they did there. And I'll say this, you know, I did their very first show with them because those were my boys. They're from Bakersfield, like C-. And, you know, we knew each other through Tony G, and Leo G. And, you know, they hit me up and said, hey, you know, we're starting our show at Power 106. Could you come down? And I did that first show with them. And, you know, who would have thought that, you know, that would have, you know, changed the dynamic of Power 106 and made it a big player in the game, you know, in another lane, because previously it was like Kiss. It was like competing with Kiss. And when they put the hip hop shit on there, it put them in a different field and position to win. And then when, you know, they co-signed you and got you in there, I mean, it just like to another level, man.
And the thing with the Bakers too, man, they were definitely the gatekeepers too.
Yeah.
And anybody, man, like when you look, Roughneck, C-, Mr. Chop, Baker Boys, Big Boy, Baker Boys, DJ E-Man, Baker Boys, and anything under that from there on out is Baker Boys, because they were the ones that were in there first, and they were the ones that were in there chopping away at this thing, you know, and doing something on 105.9 that they weren't doing. You know what I'm saying? Like I come from the school of, you know, the mix masters. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I know about 1580K there. I know what those mixes were. And I think that those were the same way when you would hear like, you know, Greg Mack and Mac Attack, and they would do, you know, World on Wheels and live broadcasts. The Baker Boys, probably not even knowing 1580K day like how I knew. That's what they brought to Los Angeles, man.
Hey, man, they were the second generation of that when you think about it. You know what I mean? And what mixed shows became, that was like they were the template.
And you can't shit on their name.
No, hell no.
On their legacy. You can't bring up a fucked up conversation. I've had motherfuckers that try to put me in the twist with the Bakers, like, oh, and I'm like, bro, those are brothers. You know what I'm saying? Like, them motherfuckers, man, they built something phenomenal.
I think it was a combination for sure, man. I think they definitely started the movement, and you came in and you fucking hammered it right along with them. You know what I mean? And radio would not have been what it became without both Friday Night Flavors and fucking Big Boy in the Morning. It definitely would have been stale, man, because everybody else was not doing the shit y'all were doing, man. Hey, and I want to thank you for taking the time to chop it up, because we've been talking about it for a minute, you know what I mean? But our schedules were all fucked up before all this.
You see how God works? You know what I'm saying? Like, sit down.
Take a break.
You can't even tell somebody out that you going out or you busy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was on the phone with Fuzzy. I wanted to get off the phone. I didn't know how to tell him. I was like, well, I just got to tell him, like, hey, Fuzz, I'm getting off the phone. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't say I'm getting in the car. Or I got to go pick up my kids from school and shit. But no, thank you for this time, man. Like, this is legendary for me, man. And like I say, B, I'm a fan first, bro. And y'all did so fucking much, man. And you really helped my career out, too, because if I could play a song for 3.5 minutes, it's 3.5 minutes of me not having to try to be creative. I press play on hits, bro. You know what I'm saying? And that's what radio is, man. You compliment the music, and you giving me so much, bro. I watch y'all shows from the audience. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be backstage. I want to be in the fucking audience, bro, and watch what y'all do around the world, bro. So thank you, man. Thank y'all for letting me up in here, man. And it was an honor. Trust me.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, man. You know, you always motivated me when I was doing radio. You were a big inspiration and all that. And that sort of, you know, inspired me to create a platform like BREALTV and do all the shit that we've been doing and all the broadcasting. And it was all that, you know what I mean? Those experiences.
Box too, though, bro, because you see a lot of people with coronavirus, as far as like our stay home, people scrambling to try to create some kind of content on, oh, now I'm doing this. Like, you already had BREALTV before we even knew what COVID-19 was. You know what I'm saying? Motherfuckers already in the car with you, hotboxing and blowing trees with you, before. You know what I'm saying? So you already had a platform. You already had all the fucking equipment. You know what I'm saying? Like shit. It was like, all right, I'm here. You know what I'm saying? But I fucks with y'all, man, and I thank y'all.
Hey, word up. I got an idea for us to try, but I'm gonna call you later and tell it to you, and we see if we put it together. I think
doesn't have anything to do with me smoking weed on camera for the first time.
Oh well, you know, hey, I'm saving that for the actual box when this shit goes to normal. I'm thinking some music shit.
Okay, easy. Ooh,
I'm gonna hit you up, man. But let them know where they can find you.
Man, on social media at Big Boy at BIGBOY. That's Instagram and Twitter. And then RadioBigBoy.com is for everything. That's Big Boy's Neighborhood. Big Boy TV for all of the videos and everything. But RadioBigBoy.com to get you to everything. And also here in Los Angeles, Real 92.3. And check us out across the country as well, man. So thank y'all.
Word up, C-.
Yo, I'd like to thank everyone for checking out everything that's on High and Hungry. We Don't Smoke the Same, In High Fidelity. Still coming soon is the Chavo episode of In High Fidelity. And also, real quick, I just want to say that as much as I said that there's a lot of DJs I know that aren't feeling the music or in love with it, I do know a lot of cats that are. In fact, you could just see it in their face. In fact, loving the music that they're playing. So
yeah.
If you watch,
and also C-, that's a sign of the time. You can't be mad at somebody for what technology has given them.
Absolutely.
Or how they got into the game at a specific time. You know? Yeah, because
100
crazy when we were spinning those records backwards. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah. I mean, all that carrying vinyl shit, man. I mean, if you could do it back then, cool. If you don't have to now, oh man, it's brilliant. I love that shit.
Don't get mad at me. You know what I'm saying?
Never that.
Too, man. The shit that you have done too, C-, fucking legendary, bro. And we don't get a chance. People don't let you just stay around. You gotta earn the years,
all right.
Especially when you cut from the cloth that we're cut from. You know what
Absolutely, sir.
We come from an era of arms crossed, show me what the fuck you do. Oh, okay. All right. It ain't hype because everybody liked you. You know what I'm saying? And then with your thinking outside the box, man, with being able to get on and tear motherfucker ass up with a smooth hip hop set and cut better than any motherfucker, and then say, oh yeah, you know what? Now peep this rock shit that I do as well. You know what I'm saying? But that's what music is, man. Like music is genres, bro. And you've always been that guy, bro. And I remember the first night meeting you guys, you know what I'm saying? And knowing who the Roughnecks were and y'all chant and everything, man, and seeing what you guys have become and still be here and watching watch what you did with your little man too. You know what I'm saying? And seeing your boy go from a boy to a man in honor of his dad, and watching what Chalk did too with his son being in honor of his dad, like that shit is dope as fuck, man.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you, man, and seeing everything that you've done as well, man. Just knowing that we were both hired around the same time and how you come in and literally made your mark, and it's permanent, bro. And I appreciate you.
Appreciate you, brother.
He's on.
Yo, shout out, much love to everybody who's been going on the website at highandhungry.shop and flavorsbyezone.com. These masks are selling out. It's our High and Hungry with the fucking our logo on it with the High and Hungry 19 logo.
That's a dope ass face mask, bro.
Thank you, man. That's my it's the show I do with C-. It's called High and Hungry. We get high and we review different places.
We're gonna send you something.
I am 30 now. Yeah.
I heard that, man. Keep going, bro.
And make sure you also check out my podcast at We Don't Smoke the Same podcast. That's on BREALTV as well. And I know I can't do stand-up right now, but the moment this shit's back, I got a lot of material for y'all motherfuckers.
Dope. I do comedy shows as well, man. So
do you?
Oh man, yeah. Oh yeah, man. I got some good ones, bro. So we'll hook up, bro. That's what we're supposed to do. Teamwork, break the game.
I'll link y'all up. On a text. And then,
I appreciate that, man.
Thank you. Together. Word up, man. I want to thank everybody for watching and listening and all that. We got some smoke boxes coming out soon, but enjoy the ones that we have out for now, and check out the Dr. Greenthumb Show podcast weekly. And if you need some medication or some bomb-ass weed, Dr. Greenthumb's dispensaries in Sacramento, San Francisco, Humboldt County, Los Angeles, Sylmar, and now Cathedral City are open, and they also have delivery. Stay safe, wear a mask and gloves. Don't go out if you don't need to, and stay peace. Keep smoking that good shit. Wow.
Y'all be good.